Here's a constitutional red light warning. Danger, Will Robinson. Hey everyone, welcome back to Guns and Gadgets, the premier source for Second Amendment news. We're going to dig into how policy affects our constitutional rights, especially the Second Amendment here. Today's focus is Governor Tim Walz and his call for a special session in Minnesota to propose an assault weapons ban. Now, George Washington said it best. A free people ought not to only be armed, but disciplined. And that guiding principle is increasingly under threat. Patriots, if you love America and you love your coffee strong, you have to check out Blackout Coffee. This isn't your average store-bought brew. It's premium, small batch roasted coffee made right here in the US of A by people who love freedom as much as you do. Every single bag is roasted fresh, so you are not getting coffee that's been sitting on shelves for months, losing boldness and fresh taste and flavor every single day. With Blackout, you're getting bold, rich flavor delivered straight to your door. And when you support Blackout Coffee, you're supporting a company that proudly backs the Constitution, our Second Amendment, our troops overseas, and hardworking Americans. So start your mornings the right way with coffee that tastes as good as freedom feels. Head on over to blackoutcoffee.com/GNG and use code GNG10 to save 10% on your order. Blackout Coffee, wake up like a patriot. So let's talk about a non-patriot. On September 2nd, just a couple days ago, following the tragic shooting at Annunciation Church in Minneapolis that killed 2 children and wounded dozens, Governor Walz announced a special legislative session to consider gun control, including an assault weapon ban. So-called assault weapons. Their words, not mine. Now, Governor Walz asserted, if Minnesota lets this moment slide, then shame on us. I'm going to call lawmakers back. He also made it clear, I'm going to need some Republicans to break with the orthodoxy and say that we need to do something on guns. Let's remind ourselves what the Second Amendment states. There's that part that says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And the U.S. Supreme Court in Heller in 2008 further affirmed that the Second Amendment extends prima facie to all instruments that constitute bearable arms, even those not in existence at the time of the founding. Guess what, Tim? This means that firearms like AR-15s are very much in common use and are constitutionally protected. An outright ban on such weapons would conflict directly with that protection. Now let's bring in actual voices from Minnesota, voices of those pushing for stricter gun laws. Contrast them with your constitutional perspective here. There's Carla Gillespie of Moms Demand Action. After being bussed in, probably, she said this: time and time again, mass shootings carried out with weapons of war end children's lives. We refuse to let that happen again. Governor Walz must call a special session now, and lawmakers from across the aisle must come together to ban assault weapons in Minnesota. Our kids are worth it. Now, there's Timberland Mazikis, I think the name is pronounced, who cares, Students Demand Action, who said, no one should be scared to go to school out of fear of being shot. Minnesota lawmakers on both sides of the aisle must act to pass an assault weapon ban and high-capacity magazines. Then there's Maggie Emery from Protect Minnesota, who said, this is a breaking point. Gun violence is a public health crisis. Minnesota must act now to ban assault weapons with high-capacity magazines. Now, I'll give them that those appeals are emotionally compelling, but as a 2A advocate, they are veered towards infringing on the Constitution. Now, meanwhile, Republican voices are pushing a very different approach. Representative Jim Nash said, we don't need more gun control. We have plenty of gun laws. What we need is criminal control. He added, a background check isn't going to slow down someone who is intent on committing a crime. Now, that argument emphasizes targeting criminal behavior, not restricting lawful ownership. I like that. When Governor Walz took office, he swore, I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Minnesota and faithfully discharge the duties of governor. So here's the question. How does pushing for laws that undercut constitutional rights square with that oath? James Madison warned, there are more instances of abridgment of freedom of the people by gradual and silent encroachments than by violent and sudden usurpations. Spot on. A ban on so-called assault weapons or any firearm is blatantly unconstitutional. There are safer, rights-respecting paths we can take. Enforce the laws you already have and increase mental health treatment and availability. Upgrade physical security of schools and churches. ensure criminals face top penalties, not penalize law-abiding gun owners. Thomas Jefferson once said that laws that forbid the carrying of arms disarm only those who are neither inclined nor determined to commit crimes. That's policy rooted in liberty and logic, not panic. Now, to wrap this up, Governor Walz's proposal for an assault weapon ban responds to tragedy and is based solely in emotion. But from a constitutional standpoint, it pushes into a dangerous territory. As founding father Ben Franklin once warned, those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. If an elected official swore to uphold the Constitution, undermining a protected right under emotional pressure seems fundamentally contradictory. Here's how you can respond if you live in the state or in another state. Stay engaged first off, but reach out to your Minnesota legislators urging a rights-preserving approach. If you live in other states, you can absolutely reach out to Minnesota legislators. You can just type in how to contact my Minnesota legislator and just find the numbers for all of them that are listed on the web pages. You can also advocate for realistic rights-compatible solutions, not sweeping bans. Share this video to spark informed debate, not fear-driven reactions. And stay vigilant about your constitutional rights, through tragedy or stability. Thanks for watching and engaging in this important conversation. I really want to hear what you have to say down below. If you value freedom and the Second Amendment, smash that like button, subscribe to Guns and Gadgets, double check your subscription, and share this with your community. I'm Jared, and I'll see you next time. Standing for liberty, always. Take care, America.